Refusing to go on the family vacation. I don't want to go on our family trip this year because my sister wants me to babysit late at night. It's not fair because I always get stuck taking care of the kids during our outings. I even had to move out of my parents' house because I was always looking after my 3 nephews. Last summer, we went to the beach together. My parents paid for my hotel room, but I had to share it with my noisy nephews because my sister and her husband wanted their own space. They promised I'd have time to myself, but I ended up watching the kids the whole time. When I complained, everyone said I was there for free. The only thing I got to enjoy was a trip to an art gallery, which the kids didn't like. This year, my parents planned another beach trip in June and assumed I'd ride with them again. But I said no. I told them I'd drive myself and pay for my own hotel room so I could have my own space. My parents were surprised and tried to remind me of the cost. But I said it was okay because I have a good job and a decent car. Then my parents told my sister, and she got angry. She said I'd spoil the vacation if I did my own thing while she had to take care of her 3 boys. I reminded her that last year, I hardly got to do anything I wanted and was treated badly for wanting to visit an art gallery. I'm an adult and deserve to enjoy my vacation too. Now my sister isn't talking to me and my parents are still trying to persuade me to ride with them to avoid problems. But I'm still saying no, even though I feel pressured. Am I wrong for not giving in? I know it will be tough for them without another person to help. Update. It's only been an hour since I posted, but my sister saw it and is really mad. She's upset that no one in the comments is taking her side. She went on about how tough it is to raise triplets and said I should help out because I'm young, single, and she needs a break. I didn't back down, and now she's calling our parents to get them involved. I'm bracing myself for their call. Update. I'm done with work now, so I can fill you in. My sister got our parents involved, and they saw my posts. They were shocked by all the comments supporting me. They're mad at me for posting it, but I told them if they had listened to me earlier, I wouldn't have had to. I'm tired of always being the one sacrificed to keep the peace with my sister. They argued with her and, long story short, the whole vacation got canceled. The hotel wasn't booked yet anyway. But now my parents and sister are fighting and my nephews are upset because they're not going to the beach. My sister called me at lunch and basically said I have no life, which is why I should help. I recorded that and told her parents, and now that's what they're arguing about. Small update. My parents promised they won't ever pressure me into babysitting my nephews again and admitted that last year's vacation wasn't fair to me. They're really mad at my sister for saying I should help her because she thinks I have no life. My sister is acting like she's the one being treated unfairly, and my brother-in-law is avoiding the situation by staying at work most of the time. Thanks to everyone who commented. You really made my day. Update. My parents said sorry, but my sister didn't, at least not at first. A week ago, I made this account to ask if I was in the wrong, and people agreed that I wasn't. I have a lot to say. Too much for the Am I the Jerk section, so a friend suggested I post here instead. My post on Am I the Jerk caused a huge family uproar. Growing up, I lived at home until I was 22 to save money while attending college. I was grateful for the scholarship that helped cover my expenses. But after college, my family assumed I had plenty of free time. They often asked me to help babysit my 3 young nephews, and I felt obligated to agree. Last year's family vacation was a disaster. I was stuck babysitting my nephews the entire time, even sharing a hotel room with them. I wasn't allowed to do anything I wanted, and when I tried, I was made to feel guilty. It seemed like only activities everyone liked were allowed, ignoring my preferences. After that trip, I decided to move out and focus on my new job, which was closer to home. My sister wasn't happy because she lost her free babysitter on weekends, but she still tried to make me babysit, often tempting me with pizza. When my parents announced another vacation, I knew they'd expect me to babysit again, so I said I'd drive myself and pay for my own room. This upset them, and they tried to pressure me to change my mind. My sister even tried to manipulate me into going. After days of arguing, I turned to Am I the Jerk for advice, but when my sister found my post, it opened a whole can of worms in the family. At first, my family wasn't on my side. My sister called our parents, and they rang me up in the morning when I had a moment to chat. They were reading my post while we talked. I asked them if anything I wrote was untrue. They danced around it, calling it an exaggeration, but I pointed out lots of details that were spot on. Then I told them to check the comments. There were too many for them to read. I kept refreshing the page on my computer at home, updating them on the increasing number of comments. I told them I was tired of being sacrificed to keep the peace with my sister. I had to cut the call short and said we'd continue later. Later on, I told them the comments had doubled and were still growing, which shocked them even more. They had to face their own actions. My sister tried calling me while I was at work, but my phone was on silent until lunch. She left messages and texts. Eventually, she got through to me while I was eating. She basically said my post turned our parents against her, and now they were mad at her. In the argument that followed, my parents canceled the whole vacation. Later, they admitted they were wrong and fully accepted responsibility. They said there was no excuse for treating me like a free babysitter, especially since I wasn't living at home anymore. They tried to soften it by mentioning they didn't charge me rent during college, but I reminded them that kids don't choose to be born, and I was doing my best to stand on my own feet. I also pointed out that my dad had a similar advantage from his parents, who let him live rent-free during college. That pretty much ended any argument they had left. When my sister called me at lunch, I laid out the facts and she didn't hold back. She implied that I don't have a life and should spend my weekends helping her because she's tired and can't go out without bringing her kids unless someone watches them. Keep in mind, she's a stay-at-home mom with a husband who makes good money. They own a decent house, and frankly, my nephews aren't my responsibility. But my family just assumed they were and expected me to roll with it. My sister angrily hung up, but I recorded the call and played it for my parents later. They were livid and confronted her. She blamed me and insisted that my life should revolve around hers. I called her out, saying it was the most entitled thing she'd ever said. It took days, but her husband finally made her apologize to me. She seemed humbled, almost on the verge of tears. It came out during her apology that she didn't trust strangers with her kids, which is why I was always asked to babysit. Money wasn't the issue, or so we thought. Turns out, my brother-in-law thought my sister paid me for watching the kids. After I moved out, she didn't even give me gas money, just enough for pizza, and they kept the rest. She'd been shortchanging me for months. He was furious when he found out and made her pay me back from her own savings. Then he apologized to me for not standing up to her and promised to hire a regular babysitter. Yes, it'll cost them, but my sister will get her date nights back. We had a family meeting where everything was laid out. Apologies were exchanged and my parents reinstated the family vacation. I still plan to drive myself and pay for my own room. If my sister tries to rope me into babysitting again, I'll even stay in a different hotel. She promised it wouldn't happen, and if I don't update after the vacation, then everything's fine. Update 2. My sister called me, demanding I take down my posts. She's even more upset now that she knows how far they've spread. Having a family that knows about your Reddit account has its downsides. Yesterday, she called me after work asking if comments were still coming in. She said she couldn't handle the negativity herself because the comments were all so hurtful towards her. So I was honest, about 10 comments are still coming in daily, and most of them are saying similar things about her. She started crying and begged me to delete my Reddit posts, but I refused. I told her she can cry to anyone she wants, but the posts stay up because they're my protection against her mistreatment. After all, she believed my life should revolve around hers, didn't pay me the babysitting money she owed, and made me babysit nonstop on last year's family vacation, ruining my time. Is it really surprising people hate her for treating me like that? When I mentioned the post had spread to other websites and there were articles and videos about it, she shrieked and hung up. Then my parents called, begging me to take the posts down. I told my family that I'm tired of being treated like a servant by my sister. I'm not her butler, babysitter, or handyman. I'm her brother and I want to be treated with respect. I have my own life, career, and maybe even a girlfriend soon. I won't let them hold me back anymore. They can either support me or keep enabling my sister, but I warned them that enabling her will only lead to trouble. My mom cried, my dad stayed quiet, and I didn't let their tears change my mind. My sister called me, upset that our parents stopped supporting her demands for my help and told her to be nicer to me. I was sarcastic with her, which made her cry too. Later, my brother-in-law called to understand my side and promised to talk to my sister. I hope the drama ends now, but the family vacation is still happening. I've booked my own room away from them and plan to enjoy the trip doing what I like. After the vacation, things went mostly as expected. My parents didn't force me to babysit, but my sister tried to find out where I was staying and got in trouble with her husband. I made sure the hotel wouldn't give out my information, and when my family arrived, I checked in without them knowing and stuck to my plans. My sister even tried to leave her kids with me, but I refused to be tricked into babysitting. I called out my sister for trying to make me babysit her kids. Her husband told her to stop, but she burst into tears, saying she needed a break. Her husband scolded her, and my mom gave me a dirty look, but I stood my ground and said I wouldn't babysit. My mom started crying too, but I walked away. They didn't bother me for the rest of the day. Later, when we got back to the hotel, I waited for the elevator alone to avoid my family. They asked why, but I just wanted some space. The next day, I did my own thing until dinner. My sister tried to corner me, saying I ruined her vacation, but I told her to leave me alone. At dinner, I told my family what happened, and my sister was scolded. She was upset, but I didn't care. The next day went smoothly, and my family left me alone. They knew I wouldn't budge. During the vacation, I spent some time with my nephews, but I made it clear I wasn't their babysitter. I didn't ignore my family during the vacation. I still spent time with my nephews and made sure they had fun. I bought them souvenirs and tried to keep things positive. There were some minor arguments between my sister and her husband, but I didn't pay much attention to them. Overall, I considered the vacation a success because it made my mom and sister realize that things have changed and I have my own life now. Update 4. My mom and sister saw my last post and got upset. My sister had been keeping an eye on my Reddit account, expecting me to post about the vacation. When she saw it, she called me, crying that I made her look bad. I told her if the shoe fits, wear it. She argued with me but couldn't deny anything in the post. She called our mom, who came to my door demanding I delete the posts. I refused, and it ended with her leaving in tears. Later, I spoke with my parents and told them their enabling behavior caused the family dynamic. I won't go back to how things were. They told my sister to stop blaming me and leave me alone. My sister had a pity party and my parents had to bring her back to reality. My brother-in-law hasn't reached out, and I worry about our relationship, but I had to stand up for myself. My parents are finally realizing my sister needs help balancing being a mom and her old habits. They're pushing her to get counseling. I hope this is the end of it. If my sister stops expecting me to be her personal servant and treats me better, we might be able to move past this. Update: my parents apologized, and we've agreed to keep our distance until Thanksgiving. I talked with my brother-in-law, who said my sister needs counseling or he'll leave. They're working on finding her help. He admitted he was angry with me too, but didn't intervene when he should have. We decided to let this whole thing go and move forward. Also, these posts helped me find a girlfriend. She figured out it was me and was waiting for me to reach out. We're going on our first date tonight. Thanks for all the support.